Welcome to the Maryland Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Cafecito Con Show. This is a series of Cafecito Con, coffee with, very special guests. Today, we have Roger Campos, and we're gonna be learning about Roger and his life, his professional life, friendship, humanitarian life, and everything else. So I'm really excited to have Roger here today, and we're gonna have a great time having a great conversation. Roger, welcome to the show today. Cafecito con Roger today. We're really happy and honored to have you here today. We're gonna just talk about everything about Roger, from birth all the way to the present time. So we're having a nice Cafecito con at the beautiful Gary Jacobs Mansion, the Engineers Club. Welcome, Roger.
Well, thank you very much, Marco. Glad to be here.
So Roger, we want to learn everything about you. Tell us about where Roger Campos come from. Where was Roger born? And then we can start flowing, and learning about you.
Well, it started with a journey from my grandparents in Mexico that immigrated after the Mexican Revolution. And my grandparents had a ranch and they had a large cattle herd. And during the revolution, Pancho Villa came to my grandfather's ranch and asked for cattle to feed his troops. And my grandfather was very sympathetic and he gave him cattle. And after he gave him cattle, the word got out that he had supported Pancho Villa. And so the Federales came and they came to the ranch and they gave him 1 day to leave. And they fled the ranch, they left everything and came to California.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you were born in California?
I was actually born in Houston.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I didn't spend much time in Houston. My father during World War II was an officer in the Navy, and one of his friends from Texas asked him to come to Texas and start a tortilla manufacturing company and also a Frito company. So he started this Frito company in Houston. And it lasted about a couple of years. And then my father got a calling. He had actually gotten an education from Cal Berkeley. He was the first in his family to get an education. And so—
The first one that graduated from college.
From college, he got a master's degree at Cal Berkeley and a teaching credential. And he received an offer from Modesto High School to teach. And that's how I ended up in Modesto, California.
Oh, wow.
At 2 years old, and our family all came there.
Oh, wow. So did you go to the same school your dad went to? High school eventually, or?
No, there was a new high school because Modesto was growing.
Right.
So the third high school came, and that's where I graduated from.
Oh, wow. Okay. So after you graduated from high school, what was you thinking? Okay, I'm gonna go to college. What am I going to do? Did you have any idea of what you're gonna be doing?
I had an idea, and it was really fomented by my dad, because he said, get an education. An education is an equalizer and no one can take it away from you. So growing up in Modesto, I happened to have that mentorship with my dad, who was also a good baseball player in his high school. And so I followed in his footsteps, playing baseball and football, and I ended up getting a scholarship for both to go to college.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So what college did you go to?
I went to University of California at Santa Barbara. And one of the reasons why I went there was because of the beach. It was fantastic. I couldn't believe it. Coming from Modesto, coming from the orchards, the agriculture area, and then going to Santa Barbara was a transformation for me. And I really wanted to go to college there.
Wow, I'm just imagining going to college and get out of school and go to the beach and take a swim, right?
Well, it wasn't really like that. I mean, college was a great experience for me.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I learned that one of my father's friends, who was a lawyer and had graduated from Harvard, said to me, Roger, when you graduate from college, you may want to consider going to law school. And if you graduate from law school, I'll give you a job.
Wow.
So I thought about going to law school.
And is that what you did?
That's exactly what I did.
Wow.
And I went to a bigger beach community. I went to San Diego. And I graduated.
Moving up in the world.
It was a great experience. And in my third year of law school, one of my dad's friends from the Central Valley called me, and he happened to be appointed by President Nixon. And at that time, he was Assistant Secretary of Marketing for the Department of Agriculture. And he asked me if I'd like to work for him.
Oh, wow. How old were you then?
I was about 24 years old.
Oh, wow. So that means you had to move to Washington, right?
Yes, I moved to Washington cross country. I'd never been out of California. It was a transformative experience. I had one blue blazer. I had no experience coming to DC. It was a great experience.
So tell us that transition once you got to Washington and then you got your first job, right? That was your first job, probably.
Yeah, it was scary because I knew nothing about Washington, D.C. I hadn't been political, and I had just come out of law school. So they put me in the general counsel's office at Department of Agriculture, and I was reviewing contracts for the Rural Electrical Administration. And it was rather boring. I really didn't like it.
A lot of reading, right?
Well, it was a lot of reading, but I really liked interaction with people. And it wasn't really interactive. It was more paperwork. And so the assistant secretary called me into his office. He asked me how I liked my job. And I told him, I said, I really appreciate the opportunity of coming east and working for you, but is there something else I can do? And he said, well, let me call up my friend Don Rumsfeld. Don Rumsfeld was head of the Cost of Living Council at the time. Richard Nixon had appointed him to reduce inflation. And so I went to work for Don Rumsfeld, who later became Secretary of Defense. And then I worked there for about a year. And it was really exciting because I was handling the oil, glass, lumber, steel, and cement industries for so-called alleged profit violations, which was used to try to rein in inflation, which is very difficult to do. But during that process, the President's Personnel Director contacted me and asked me to interview. So I went to the White House. And he says, you're going to go through a series of interviews and maybe take a few months, but we'll see if you might fit in. So my first interview was with Fred Malek, who was Director of Personnel in the Nixon administration. And one of my last interviews was with Fred Malek, who had been appointed the Deputy Director of the Office of Management and Budget. And he said, welcome aboard.
Wow.
So he said, I'm going to have you do special assignments, and we're going to put you through a course in Congress to learn, about legislation, because we'd like you to write legislation and work on government reorganizations.
Wow. So that's amazing to be able to have that opportunity right from law school into the center of the universe in terms of government affairs and things like that, right? So not too many people get to do that. So
I was very fortunate and lucky.
Yeah,
1 year out of law school, I'm working in the White House.
Yeah.
And I'm going to Congress, I'm working with Republicans and Democrats. It was an eye-opening experience.
Wow. Wow. So then it seems like from that point on, you just kept going up and getting really deeply involved in government. So what was next?
Well, I I did special assignments. So one of my special assignments was in the government reorganization of the Department of Energy. And so I worked on, with a team at the Office of Management and Budget. They had a special team there that would take a look and analyze the various programs across government agencies of what relates to energy. So they took programs from Interior, they took programs from Agriculture, they took various programs from the agencies and consolidated them into one, and then they had me go to Capitol Hill and sell it to the Republicans and the Democrats to get their buy-in to create the Department of Energy. Oh, and wow. So I wrote portions of the bill. And then Congress passed it. And I served as the first special assistant to the first secretary of the Department of Energy on detail from the White House.
And probably the first Hispanic, right?
Definitely. I turned on the lights. I found the office space. I helped hire staff. But I did it not as a Department of Energy employee. I did it as an employee of the Office of Management and Budget.
Right.
And so that was my role and responsibility. And that transcended the Nixon, Ford, and then when Jimmy Carter came in. And wow. Then I had a 4-year assignment at the White House under Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, and then partially the just beginning of the Carter administration. And because of my work on Capitol Hill, the Carter administration asked me to go over to the Small Business Administration. So I went over to the Small Business Administration and I became a consultant to the administrator and working on task forces that the Minority Business Program had just passed Congress, and they asked me to work on it, and they asked me to help minority companies, Hispanics, African Americans, Asians.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for several years at the Small Business Administration.
And that's why you continue that work all the way to the present time, which is amazing, that we can talk about that later. So, so once you did that, you kept going, and then what?
Well, I negotiated a very large contract for a small minority business. It was an 8A company. That's the Section 8A of the Small Business Act that gives business opportunities for minorities. It's a business development program. It's not a forever program. Right. It's one that gives you an opportunity for several years and to build up your capacity and capability with prime federal contracts. And then once that length of time is concluded, then you're out of the program and you're competing.
Yeah, I guess those programs are designed to make sure the startups learn how to do business with, work with the prime, and then eventually graduate, right? And be able to have, you know, your knowledge to go on your own. So that's.
Well, that was the purpose of the program.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the contracts that I worked on was an Army contract, and it was a very large one. And there were several Fortune 500 companies competing for it, and I was successful getting it awarded to this 8A company, and that hit the front page of the Wall Street Journal with my name as one of the consultants working on it. And so I got a call from many 8A companies around the country who had been just recently certified, asking if I could do that for them. And I thought about it, and I thought, you know, I might be able to make a business, a consulting company out of this. And that was my exit out of SBA. I took one of the offers.
So how long were you in DC and in the government before you started on your own?
Well, I never left DC. I mean, I was always in DC. That was my bedrock.
Yeah.
That was my knowledge, my expertise, and that's what people paid for.
Yeah.
So I did that for several years, and then I got a call from a president of a university. And he said, we'd like you to consider being the executive director of the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, which represents, at that time, I was thinking about 300 or 400 Hispanic serving institutions, which had 25% or more Hispanic enrollment.
Right.
And so I took over that role, being the chief person in Washington for the Hispanic Association.
Wow, that's I did not know that. That's awesome. That's great. And that's what we're here to learn more about everything that you've done, which is amazing to be able to have someone like you with that rich history and be able to tell the story and be able to tell others, you know, what you've done, which is very important. So, I mean, we know each other for over 20 years, I remember. You guys asked me to volunteer in a Hispanic symposium to encourage Hispanic students to stay in school, to get a degree like you did, and to become a professional, because no one will take that away from you, right? So I remember I met you in 2005 when I moved to Maryland, and we started getting to know each other. So, and always looked out for everything that you've done. We see each other, we help each other and all that, and we can talk about, you know, through the Maryland Hispanic Chamber also. You came to me and we were at an event. I was a member only. You looked at me and said, you need to run the Maryland Hispanic Chamber. 6 years later, here we are, you know, and it was very special, and really appreciate that you saw the potential of being able to run this organization and bring it to other levels.
Well, from my experience, I saw your leadership skills, and I thought you would be fantastic running the Hispanic Chamber.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So let's talk about right after the university and what was next.
So what was next was I got a call from a headhunter from Korn Ferry, one of the largest headhunting firms in the United States. And they said that there was a new organization that was going to be formed in Washington, D.C. for the nation's largest minority-owned companies, and they'd like me to run it. And that was the beginning of the Minority Business Roundtable. So I incorporated it as a 501c3 nonprofit. I recruited 30 of the largest minority-owned businesses in America, consisting of 10 Hispanics, 10 African Americans, 6 Asians, 4 Native Americans, including 8 women, all doing over 50 million to 3 billion.
Wow.
And that was our launch pad. And I did that in 2002. And then I went to the Business Roundtable, which is a group of 150 Fortune 500 CEOs. And I said, I'd love to have a partnership with you. And so for a couple of years, we maintained a great relationship, and we hosted meetings. They invited me to speak before their CEOs. We held receptions. We went to the White House together, meeting the president, and we formed a very good bond. And then the CEO of that organization left and became the CEO of a very large pharmaceutical trade association, one of the largest in DC. And then we had a change of governors in Maryland, and I was asked to be on the transition team with Bob Ehrlich. And that was really exciting, working with Bob and working with his chief of staff. And they appointed me to the Maryland Economic Development Commission, where I served during Bob's tenure. And I headed up small and minority business for the state of Maryland.
So you moved from MBRT back to the public sector.
Well, I didn't take the public sector full time. It was part-time. So I maintained the organization. And then I worked part-time for the Maryland Economic Development
Right.
Commission. I was a commissioner for 4 years under Bob Ehrlich.
And then you got a full-time job eventually.
I did, yeah. So then I worked in the campaign with Larry Hogan, and he appointed me to his transition team, and they asked me to serve in his cabinet as Maryland's first business ombudsman, fixing problems and issues, federal, state, local issues, and working with businesses. And it was something very, very dear to my heart, helping business owners, helping people, which I've done my entire career.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I remember you going through that, and you served for 8 years, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I served for a couple of years as the business ombudsman, and then the governor appointed me Assistant Secretary, Maryland Department of Housing. He had just launched a $75 million initiative to help rebuild the urban community of Baltimore City. And it was really an exciting project. And so I worked on that for my last 6 years of the Hogan administration. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, that was amazing, because when you were there, we were actually working together with the Maryland Hispanic Chamber and being able to help each other. I remember that, which was amazing. And I thank you for that, because that was something that we needed to do, and we still doing, right? And then you decided to retire from the public sector and bring back MBRT, right?
Well, a couple of my founding members asked me what I was going to do after the Hogan administration. And they said, why don't you relaunch the Minority Business Roundtable? And so we did that last year, and during the inauguration of the president. So we've held several events. We're sort of getting our sea legs again because we had put the organization on hold for the 8 years that I had been serving in the Hogan administration. So this offered another opportunity to give back.
Absolutely, and I'm excited because we've talked about what's next, right? We talked about what we're gonna do in the future. I mean, we just hosted our first event together, which was amazing at the Army-Navy Club, and super successful. Everybody's still talking about it, which was great. Maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
Well, you know, working with you has been fantastic because we complement each other. You know people, and I know people, and we decided to work together and have a great venue at the Army-Navy Club and invite government officials, diplomats. We had several ambassadors there. Of course, we honored Ambassador Yvonne Baki, who is a personal friend of yours you've known for many years, and she may be the next Secretary General of the United Nations. We hope that she will. And you know, business owners don't get an opportunity very much to see and meet people like that. And so as we relaunched the Minority Business Roundtable, we also kind of renamed it to coincide with a new direction, which is multinational and international. And so our event was the first for national security and international business that we worked on together.
Right.
You have a great background working in several Latin American countries. I have on my board several people from Latin America that have roots in Latin America. And I thought it was a good opportunity to focus attention on the Western Hemisphere.
Yep.
So that was really the basis for our coming together and thinking kind of outside of the box about what business owners need or want to hear or could be helpful to them.
Yeah, and that's something that falls along the lines of what we're trying to do with the Chamber, trying to bring new opportunities, right? Bringing the entire Latin American market into our region, or the Spanish, you know, Spain and Europe for that matter, and bring it into our region and vice versa, which is that was like the perfect title, the perfect event, and we're really looking forward to expand that. And we talked about doing this in different cities, which is coming. So so we have to work hard on that. I'm looking forward to it, and it's really nice to work with you. And like you said, you know people, I know people. We put them all together and create something amazing, which is great. So what's next for Roger, other than the stuff that we're going to be doing together?
Well,
you want to talk about your family, your wife, your kids?
Well, I have a son who's a school counselor, and he lives in Oceanside, California. And I have a grandson who's a chef in Salt Lake City at a country club. And I have an amazing wife, Kay. And you have met her. A lot of people have called her a gem, and she certainly is. She's been there for me for almost 25 years. I'm very fortunate to have Kay.
That's great. Another thing, let's talk about this. Your book. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
So I thought, when my dad passed away, my dad, first of all, was my role model because he was self-made. He ended up being the largest tortilla manufacturer in Northern California. And I like to say his tortillas paid for my college and my law school education. And he also owned a chain of Mexican restaurants that he started in 1967. So he was a pioneer. And also an educator, which is one of the reasons why I went to college and went to law school, because I followed in his footsteps. And when he passed away, I was kind of searching for the meaning of life and looking back, at my life at the time. And also I had met Kay at the time, so I was divorced, and I was also kind of estranged from my son because my son was living with my ex-wife, and I wanted to get to know him better, and he was a singer-songwriter. And I thought, maybe I could relate to my background, my experience, and everybody has a story in them. And so during the snowstorm, in fact, we were snowed in for about a week, I had a bottle of scotch and I drank a few shots of that, got the courage to start putting down kind of my experiences on a piece of paper. And I ended up...
Don't tell me you wrote the book in 1 week.
I did.
Oh, wow.
I wrote the book in 1 week during that snowstorm in longhand.
Yeah.
I had a 100-page manuscript. And one of my next door neighbors had been an editor of a magazine, and so I took it over to her, and she read it and came back to me and said, "This is really good. You should get it published."
Wow.
So I thought I would see what I could do in writing, but I wanted to incorporate my son, who is an excellent singer-songwriter. And so I wrote the story, and I asked him to write the music and perform music. And so I call this the first rock novel, and I believe it is. So it comes with a CD of music. And when people read a certain chapter, they can play a piece of my son's music that he arranged, wrote, and he sings.
So while you're reading, you can put the CD and listen to the music and go.
Yeah, or you can just play the CD. It's 13 songs at the end, and you can hear and get a feeling of what's inside the book, the story. And the book is basically loosely written on my experiences. I think every book has certain people's experiences, and so that certainly is mine.
That's great.
And so I wrote about my experience in Washington, some of my personal experience. I wrote about my dad, and really the reason for writing that book was because of him.
Yeah.
And it's a book about the trials, the tribulations of a Washington lobbyist, of which I was, and how sometimes you lose direction and sometimes you forget your values. And so with the help of a guardian angel, the main character realizes that his foundation is really what is the most important ingredient in everyone's life.
And that's why you call it Sleeping with an Angel.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And thank you for my copy. I'm looking forward to read it and listen to the music.
Sure. And if anybody's interested, I have a website.
Okay.
It's sleepingwithanangel.com.
Oh, fantastic. This is awesome. Wow. That I did not know. Which is great, and that's the reason why we're here, to have a Cafecito con Roger.
Yeah, and any of my members who join our organization will get a copy.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that is awesome.
And also our partners, of which you are one of our partners.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I really appreciate our friendship. That is, you are part of our extended family, so we really look up to you.
Friendships and relationships are the most important. Family and friends.
Yep. So is there anything that a message that would like to tell our Hispanic chambers in the world, for that matter?
Well, I think one of the premises of my organization, your organization, together, is to engage business owners in public policy. Because public policy, whether you like it or not, really regulates our lives. And the more you know, I think the better off you are, and you know how to navigate. Every president has different views of what they feel is important for their administration, and business owners need to know how to navigate. And that's the purpose of MBRT, and I believe that's your purpose as well.
Absolutely. Always making sure you do something or make a difference on someone. And personally, everything that I do has to have that social impact or social responsibility as well. And, help the community and all that, and the business, obviously, from what we do with our organization. So I'm really honored to have you here today, and I really thank you. And we're looking forward to great things that we can do together, and with our organizations as well.
Well, let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you so much. So, Roger, I want to take a second right now to talk a little bit more about the Maryland Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which you've been very involved. I mean, you didn't know this, but we're also going to invite you to be one of our advisory boards like you used to do. So stay tuned for that. But I wanted to just talk about the chamber a little bit. This is a 40-year-old organization. This year is our 40th anniversary, and we're going to have our amazing gala on August 8th, and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you go to our website and sign up. Sponsorship is welcome, but the Hispanic Chamber, we've been using the chamber as a platform to be able to help everybody. I mean, we are concentrating on the Hispanic businesses, which is one of the fastest growing markets in the country. But you know what? We all live together, and we are creating programs to help everybody, to help all the minority companies, all the primes, and signing MOUs with everybody under the sun to be able to help each other. There's a saying in Spanish that says, "La unión hace la fuerza," which basically says, united, we're stronger. So we can do more if we unite and we help each other. And that's what we're trying to do with Roger here and MBRT, because that way we can do more and be able to help more people and companies and, nonprofits and also on the humanitarian side. The chamber has been growing like crazy. I see our CRM every week, and I see new members on a weekly basis. So just as statistics, for every for every business that is being created in the US right now, 15 Hispanic businesses have been created at the same time, which is crazy. With GDP just for the Hispanic businesses in the US is $4.1 trillion. So if that was a country, that would be the 5th largest country in the world. And it's right here at home, which is very fortunate. We are fortunate to be able to have that and work hard. And not to mention population. You know, Hispanic families they're having 4 or 5 kids. And by 2050, the Hispanic heritage and population in the US is going to be 1/3 of the population. So think about all these things, because you got to get on board. Non-Hispanic companies are joining because they see the potential into tapping into the Hispanic market, which I just said is the fastest growing market in the country. So you got to think about these things. You got to prepare, you got to get on board. Otherwise you're going to miss the boat. Don't miss that boat. You know, join us, and we're here to help. We're here to guide you, to mentor you, to educate you, and to connect you. Building those relationships are very important. Building that trust. Once you build that, you don't even have to ask. Things happen naturally, and you're going to be able to do business and connect with the people that you want and bring your businesses to the next level. So please join us. The website is right below here, so you can just go to our website and learn more about us. We're waiting for you.